The state of Oklahoma is no stranger to bumps in the night and tales of mysterious local creatures and phenomenon, with sightings of the mythical Bigfoot dating back to 1970. Today, we are going to cover and explore two of the most eerie and spooky ghost stories and urban legends in one of Oklahoma's biggest cities, Tulsa. The Hex House. The legend behind the haunting of the Tulsa Hex House dates back to 1944, in which a woman named Carolann Smith occupied a house at 10 East 21st Street. Smith lived a comfortable life, owning lots of hats, makeup, and plenty of food. She became the talk of the neighborhood and then eventually the town, as rumors began to circulate about her suspicious behavior and the two dazed, almost memorized women that were seen living with her. Neighbors noticed Smith digging suspicious holes in her backyard at night, while others heard screams emanating from the house. There were also rumors surrounding the death of her husband, Faye, in 1934, which was ultimately ruled a suicide. The following year, in 1935, Smith's maid, Balula Walker, was struck and killed by a car while fleeing from her employer's home. Large life insurance policies were taken out on both Smith's late husband and Walker. One day, neighbors called the cops to report on the suspicious behavior of Carolann. When they arrived, they found that Smith had been digging in the backyard in order to bury two caskets, although they were found to be empty. They also found the two women living with Miss Smith, who were identified as Virginia Evan, 31, and Nell Willetta Honer, 30. The pair were found in the basement of Smith's home. It was there that the two women lived in squalor and filth. They slept inside of orange crates in the dark and unheated basement. Authorities learned that the two women had been living with Carolann for 5 to 7 years. They left the house to go to work every day and returned promptly afterwards, surrendering their entire paycheck to Carolann. The women claimed that they chose to stay with Miss Smith in hopes of an eternal life, as promised by Carolann. Throughout their time in the infamous house, they were barely fed any food. Virginia and Willetta displayed strange behavior when speaking to authorities. They acted as Carolann's religious slaves, believing their efforts and obedience would lead to great rewards, as promised by their captor. Many believed Smith had placed the two women under hypnosis or some kind of hex. Many believed Smith intended to take out life insurance policies on the two women, as it was believed that she had done with her husband and maid. The night the police arrived, they took Smith into custody, but she was never charged with murder but did do some jail time following the investigation. After her release, she fled from the state. The house became a popular spooky site for the following decades. Teenagers would visit the site until it was torn down in 1975. However, the basement allegedly remained untouched, and it is still believed to be intact underneath a paved parking lot. While the original Hex House was demolished, its legend lives on in the city's annual Hex House Haunted Attraction, one of the scariest Halloween haunted houses in the state. The Gilcrease Museum. The Gilcrease Museum is believed to be haunted by a few different spirits, one of them being Mr. Thomas Gilcrease himself. William Thomas Gilcrease was born in 1890 to William Lee and Mary Elizabeth. His mother was of Creek Native ancestry, and Thomas spent his childhood on tribal lands. In 1913, Thomas was seeking a home for his growing family in the boom town of Tulsa, Oklahoma. He came across a property with a sandstone house and a wraparound porch perched upon a hill. He purchased the home along with about 80 acres. Following this, Mr. Gilcrease took some time to travel around the world, particularly Europe. He was inspired by the historical museums and decided to start his own collection, which mostly consisted of Native American art. In 1943, Mr. Gilcrease opened the Museum of the American Indian in San Antonio, Texas. Meanwhile, the stone house in Tulsa was temporarily utilized as an orphanage for Native American children. Gilcrease continued to expand his collection and hired Alexandra Hogue to design a museum on the property in Tulsa. In 1949, he opened the Thomas Gilcrease Institute of American History and Art. Following his death in 1962, many believe that his spirit still remains on the property in order to overlook his treasured collection. Staff have confirmed seeing him around the building, as he makes his presence known by slamming doors. People have also reported the sound of his footsteps. There have also been reports of ghostly Native American children roaming the grounds. They have been spotted playing in the garden, and people often say that they have heard their laughter when nobody else is around. There are at least 7 spirits in the museum, all of whom are known to be friendly. Other phenomena reported inside include temperature fluctuations, technical malfunctions, and banging noises coming from the second floor of the museum. Today, the museum is managed by the University of Tulsa, but is still owned by the city.